Hey everybody, this is Perch. Here's something that I'm finding that's happening right now, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm curious how many of you have had this same experience. It's where you've read a comic, and granted, this works for movies, this works for books, music, any of these things. But we're talking comics. So you've read a comic book that you really love, and it's not a short comic. It's not like a, single story one and done. It's a run like the Dark Phoenix saga, like maybe the run up to the Mutant Massacre, the Infinity Gauntlet. It's kind of a limited series, but um, parts of the Authority for me were this way. Parts of certainly the Wonder Woman run by Eric Luke. Certainly a lot of stuff Bill Loebs did. You talk about these longer runs of comics. It works for a short series, but it really works when we're talking like 40, 50 issues. And it's just incredible. You had such a good time. You sat down, you read it. It was amazing. I had this experience again, a much shorter run for 30 Days of Night. It's one of the reasons why I think Ben Templesmith is such an amazing storyteller. But you have these moments where you read something and it's great. And maybe you come back to it years later and you read it again. It's still great. And it's just one of those things. And you want to share it. You want other people to grab onto this. And if you've ever had this feeling where somebody takes you up on it, they start reading through it, and you just get so excited for them. It's like you're feeling good about it. You're feeling excited. You get this very positive, happy memory about the comics that you read, and you're just super pumped for them to read it too, and kind of that shared experience. There's nothing like it. It's a great feeling in comics. It feels like it's bringing people together. It feels like it's these are the defining moments. And I've gone through this before with different runs and different things, including some of the ones I mentioned. One of the biggest ones for me right now is One Piece, and I've done this video before. And there's a guy right now, and he sends me updates every now and then on Twitter as he's working his way through it. And he just hit the point at the archipelago arc right before we get to Impel Down and Marineford. He's right at that stage where Luffy is punched the noble, and Kuma is about to come in, and kind of all this insanity. And I feel so excited for him reading this, because what's going to follow is like 100 chapters of some of the best comic books. This is manga, of course, but some of the best storytelling there is. The kind of the heroism, the depth, the drama, the amount of characters. I mean, my God, one of the things that One Piece does just incredibly well. And as he's going through it, he's like sending little notes of some of the things he's reading. It's reminding me of even things like the Sanji's wanted poster being incorrect and looking like somebody else. And this guy who was pretending, or who basically his life was ruined because he looked more like the botched wanted poster than Sanji did. And this is like a tiny bit character in the series, has nowhere even close to a main or even supporting character, and yet this character gets a complete backstory, an arc, some redemption. I mean, just like, my God, the amount of storytelling that goes into all this is just amazing. And so as he's reading through this, and it's like, I'm so excited. I get actually very excited just knowing that he's about to go into these, this entire, in my money, if I'm doing a top 5 list, this arc right here, this Impel Down into Marineford, is one of the best things that's been done in comics. And it's also, he did it the right way. He read it from the start. And as I've said before with One Piece, I mean, I enjoyed it from the beginning. However, it is absolutely fair to say that some people have had a real hard time getting into it. And I think you have to get all the way to Alabasta to really start to get, the true momentum of this series. Also, the Fishman Island arc, I think you can get, if you get there, you're going to get hooked, and all the rest. But I mean, you have, it's commitment to get into One Piece. I mean, One Piece is celebrating going, shooting past 1,000 chapters and still going. It's just blazing forward as a massive, amazing, powerful franchise, and the amount of depth and everything. So if you read from the start, you're going to get a much better experience, because you pick up on these characters, and it really, you bond with them. It makes the the moments where they punch you in the gut feel all the more powerful because you've been along for this ride. But anyway, so this is all the positive stuff. Now here comes the negative bit. I can't think of many current comic runs. There's certainly been smaller things. I'm not lying when I tell Sean I thought White Knight was great. I have a really good feeling about this book. I enjoy it. It's great, but it's on a smaller run. It's a story. Yes, I know Court of Owls has come up from Snyder and Capullo, and this was a good kind of defining thing. But again, that's like what, a 6-issue arc. It's fine. It's not this kind of 50-issue run. And I know Snyder was on that book for a long time, but modern comics aren't giving me that feeling. They aren't giving me like, diving into the Grunwald run of Cap. And in fairness, I'm aware of my own, limitations. Some of this just may be, there's an era that I bought into in comics, and that we're in a different era now, and it's not that it's gotten worse. It's just not, it's not what I grabbed onto. It's just not the same. But I One Piece, and I mean, I'm reading fairly late in the game. I got into My Hero Academia like a couple of years ago, and I'll tell you, that's a hell of a comic with a great run. Not in my top 5, but top 20, yeah. I think Saga's had feelings like that for me. Walking Dead has had feelings like that for me, of just this epic kind of a run of comics. So I know it's possible. I don't think this is just jaded me no longer has the same kind of feeling. And again, I want to be 100% clear. There's lots of comics I like, tons, that are made today, that are made in the last 5 years. And I've liked comics on different levels at different times. I think that I can look at something. Oh, I don't know. I could look at parts of Nick Spencer's run on Spider-Man and say, I enjoyed this comic, and I did. But what I'm describing here, why I went through this entire intro, is I'm describing it's so powerful for you. You enjoy it so much that you can't wait to share it with somebody else, and you get this transference feeling of excitement, them getting into that. I couldn't say that about Nick Spencer's run, even though I enjoyed several comics there. I couldn't go, hey, oh my God, I can't wait for you to read this. It's so exciting. I can't wait for you to read this. To a very small extent, when Hickman came on Powers of X, House of X, Powers of 10, there was this feeling of like, oh, I'm excited to see what other people think of these twists, especially people who've been into the X-Men for a long time. But even there, the moments that I'm feeling are like, oh, look what they did with Moira. That's interesting. And hey, look at this X-Men invading the Orca space station. This is a pretty powerful 2 issues here where they go in, they sacrifice their lives and everything else. That's pretty powerful right there. But still, it wasn't the same. This wasn't like, I mean, again, and this is why I've had trouble at times recommending One Piece to people. It's like, hey, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pick up this comic, and you're going to need to read 500 chapters, and there's going to be a great payoff when you get to like chapter 500. I mean, it's hard to make that recommendation to someone. It's like, hey, do you have nothing going on in your life? How would you like to have your entire life thoroughly consumed by a comic? Here you go. Here's One Piece. I use this example. And I see people from time going, there's nothing to read. I have to give up on comics. I don't know. There's nothing going on. I have nothing at all that I can get into. I've canceled all my comics. I'm like, if that's your situation, I'd like to introduce you to One Piece, and I'll see you again in 2 years. Like there is material out there, I guess is my point. But my question to all of you is, what comics, what runs? And I think there's 2 ways to look at it. There's a single comic, read a one-shot, read even a 3-issue series, 6-issue series. I think White Knight is a great example. I really like that comic. That is a good thing to read. I enjoy it. I think there's some interesting things going on with Batman. Thoroughly enjoyed my time there. That's one category. The other one is this idea of 20, like minimum 25 issues, a run of comics that is so good that you go back to it, you read it over and over again, and more importantly, You recommend it to others and just really get excited about other people reading it. What are those books? And so, first of all, what are your recommendations? What are your go tos? I'm sure you all have them. But also, what there aren't as many now, right? Like we are, we're there. There hasn't been a lot of new runs like this produced. I think this is maybe one of the biggest reasons why I get frustrated with this. So many creators kept on a short leash. Jeff Thorne's currently doing Green Lantern. Some people like it, some people do not. Am I going to get 50 issues of Green Lantern from Jeff Thorne really exploring this universe? I'm almost positive I will not. I don't think he'll be on the book that long. So I can say I may enjoy, however long he's on it. So let's say he's on it for 12 issues. I may enjoy those 12 issues. I will enjoy those 12 issues. But, they're not going to give him 50. Not going to give him 100. I wish they would, because I want more of these arcs, these runs. Who are the people who had the big arcs? We've had Tom King on Batman. We have Bendis on Superman. Neither of those are runs that I would go, oh my God, you got to read this like right now. Stop what you're doing. Over on, in Marvel, you have Jason Aaron, who's done a long run. You have Donny Cates, who did a run on Venom, but I mean, it was a run. It wasn't a super long run, but I mean, there was stuff there. But Chip Zdarsky on Daredevil, is that kind of, again, I'm enjoying that run. Would I put it on the top 5 kind of, you've got to read it, you've got to get into this right now? I wouldn't. And that's not an offense to him. I'm not trying to say this is, a knock against any of these people. I'm just, we have an increasingly scarce amount of must-read runs on comics, in my opinion. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.